You just got a raise. Your manager smiled, said you earned it, shook your hand. You walked out of that office, sat in your car, and cried. Not from happiness, from the instant suffocating thought, this still won't be enough. You did the math before the engine started. How much goes to rent? How much disappears into insurance? How much is already owed before a single dollar touches your hand? You subtracted things that haven't even happened yet. A car repair, a dentist visit, a winter electricity bill that doesn't exist, and somehow the raise shrank to nothing while the engine was still warming up. And by the time you pulled out of the parking lot, the raise was gone. Not from your account, from your body. The relief lasted maybe 90 seconds before something behind your ribs tightened again and whispered, "What about next month?" Here's what nobody in your life will say to you about this moment. The problem is not your salary. It's not your spending habits, your savings rate, or that you didn't open a Roth IRA at 22. What happened in that car is your nervous system rejecting safety. It was trained long before your first paycheck to believe that safety is a trick that always gets taken away. And if that hits somewhere deeper than your wallet, you are not broken and you are not alone. This video will walk you through 5 psychological reasons your brain treats money like a threat, even when the numbers say you're fine. And the last one might explain why this feeling was already living inside you before you ever understood what a bank account was. Number 1, your brain is stuck in a scarcity tunnel. You're standing in the grocery store holding 2 jars of pasta sauce. One is $4.29, the other is $3.89, and you know that 40 cents will not change your life. It will not determine whether you make rent. It will not push you into debt. 40 cents is less than a minute of your hourly wage. But your hand reaches for the cheaper one anyway. Something tightens in your stomach when you put the other one back, as if you just dodged something dangerous. Then you do it again with the bread, and again with the shampoo, and by the time you reach the checkout line, you've spent 20 minutes making decisions that save you a combined $2.11, and you feel exhausted in a way that has nothing to do with groceries. This is not rational decision-making. This is what behavioral economists call scarcity tunneling. It's a cognitive state where your brain narrows its entire focus to the resource it perceives as scarce and filters out everything else. When researchers studied this phenomenon, they found something remarkable. People operating under perceived scarcity actually lose measurable cognitive bandwidth. Their problem-solving slows. Their decision fatigue skyrockets. Their world shrinks to a single question on repeat. Not because they're less intelligent, but because their mental resources are being hijacked by a single, looping calculation. Do I have enough? Do I have enough? Do I have enough? It's not that you're bad with money. It's that your brain has decided money is the only thing worth processing right now, and it's squeezing out your ability to think about anything else. That's why you can earn more than you ever have and still feel like you're one emergency away from the floor. The tunnel doesn't widen just because the numbers get bigger. Number 2, your stress response doesn't know the difference between a bear and a bill. Picture this. You open an email from your landlord. It's just a maintenance notice. They're fixing the hallway light next Tuesday. Nothing about rent. Nothing about money at all. But for the first half second, before you actually read the words, your heart rate spikes. Your shoulders climb toward your ears. Your jaw tightens just slightly, the way it does when you're bracing for impact. Because your body has learned that emails from your landlord mean money leaving your account. And your HPA axis, the system that controls your stress hormones, doesn't wait for context. It fires first and asks questions later. Here's how it works. Your amygdala detects a potential threat and sends a signal to the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus activates the adrenal glands, which flood your bloodstream with cortisol and adrenaline. This is the exact same chemical cascade that would fire if a dog lunged at you on the sidewalk. The same one your ancestors used to outrun predators. The same one designed for situations where your life is genuinely in danger. Your body doesn't distinguish between physical danger and financial danger. It just knows threat. And when this system gets activated repeatedly, not by actual crises, but by the anticipation of crises that haven't happened, it starts to stay on. Not spiking, just humming. A low, constant alertness that never fully powers down, even when you're safe. Not because you're weak, but because cortisol was never designed to be a budgeting tool. Your nervous system is using a survival mechanism to process a spreadsheet. And you can feel it in your body if you pay attention. The tight shoulders that never fully drop, the shallow breathing you don't notice until someone points it out, the way you clench your jaw in your sleep and wake up with a sore face, wondering why rest doesn't feel like rest. That's not stress about a specific bill. That's your alarm system running in the background like an app you never learned how to close. Number 3, your body is sending danger signals your mind is misreading. You're out at dinner with friends. The waiter sets the menu down and you open it. Your eyes go straight to the prices, not the food, the numbers. And then a feeling rises in your chest, something between tightness and heat. Suddenly, the idea of ordering the $26 entree feels physically uncomfortable, like your body is warning you not to do it. Your throat gets dry. Your fingers press harder into the edges of the menu. So you pick the $14 salad and tell yourself you weren't that hungry anyway. Your friends are laughing about something. You smile, but part of you is already somewhere else, calculating the tip, your share of the appetizer someone else ordered, the parking meter you fed on the way in. You're at a table full of people and you've never felt more alone because the conversation in your head is louder than the one in the room. This is interoception, your brain's ability to read internal signals from your body. Everyone has it. It's how you know you're thirsty or tired or anxious before you've consciously labeled the feeling. But in people with chronic financial stress, interoception gets miscalibrated. The body sends a tightness signal, maybe just mild discomfort, maybe just a change in breathing. And the brain, trained by years of money-related tension, interprets it as, you can't afford this. Not, you feel slightly nervous. Not, this is an unfamiliar expense. Your brain skips straight to danger. It's not that you're cheap or irrational. It's that your body has become a false alarm system for spending. Every purchase, no matter how small, gets routed through the same circuit that once processed real financial emergencies. Number 4, your imagination is rehearsing disasters that haven't happened yet. It's a Sunday afternoon. You're sitting on your couch doing absolutely nothing. No bills are due, no unexpected expenses have appeared, the sun is coming through the window, there's coffee in your hand that's still warm. And yet, out of nowhere, your brain starts playing a movie. You get laid off. Your savings drain in 3 months. You can't make rent. You move back in with someone you swore you'd never depend on again. You're standing in a kitchen that smells like the past, and everything you built has collapsed. None of this is happening. But your palms are sweating, the coffee doesn't taste like anything anymore. You set it down and stare at the wall, and your body is responding to a future that doesn't exist. Heart pounding, stomach tight, breath shallow, as if you're already living in it. And the worst part? You can't just snap out of it. You can't logic your way back to the couch, back to Sunday, back to safe, because your body has already left. This is your default mode network at work, the part of your brain that activates when you're not focused on a task. It's the same network responsible for daydreaming, self-reflection, and mental time travel. In most people, it wanders freely, replaying a conversation, imagining a vacation, drifting into harmless what-ifs. But in people with financial anxiety, the default mode network doesn't daydream, it catastrophizes. It takes you forward into the worst version of the future and makes you live there, emotionally, as if it were already real. Your heart rate responds to the fantasy. Your muscles tense. Your body doesn't know the difference between a real layoff and an imagined one. Not because you're pessimistic, but because your brain has learned that relaxation is unsafe. The moment you stop scanning for threats, something bad will slip through. So it fills every quiet moment with rehearsal. Not to torture you, to protect you. The tragedy is that the protection feels identical to the thing it's protecting you from. Now, if you've recognized yourself in even one of these, the tunnel, the alarm system, the false body signals, the disaster movies on an empty Sunday, you already sense that this isn't really about your bank balance. But the last reason goes deeper than all the others, because it explains why this anxiety didn't start with you. Number 5. You inherited someone else's emergency. Close your eyes for a moment and think about the dinner table you grew up at. Not the food, not the conversation, the feeling. Was there a tightness in the room when the mail arrived? Did someone's voice change when the phone rang during dinner? A slight edge, a held breath, because calls at that hour might mean a bill collector? Did you ever hear your parents whisper about money in the other room, thinking you were asleep? Did something cold settle in your chest, even though you didn't fully understand the words? Maybe you noticed the way one parent's face changed when the other came home with a bag from the store. Not anger, exactly. Something quieter. A flicker of calculation behind the eyes. A question that was never spoken out loud but filled the room anyway. How much did that cost? You were not old enough to understand interest rates or debt. You didn't know what it meant when someone said, "We'll figure it out," in a voice that clearly meant they hadn't figured it out yet. But your nervous system understood. Children don't need language to absorb stress. They absorb it the way they absorb everything else, through tone, through tension, through the space between words. A child sitting at that table doesn't think my parents are financially stressed. They think something is wrong, and I need to be very, very still. Researchers studying intergenerational stress patterns have found something important. Chronic financial stress in parents can shape the stress response systems of their children. Not through explicit teaching, but through the emotional environment itself. Your cortisol response was being calibrated before you could count. The hypervigilance you carry around money, the checking, the calculating, the guilt about a coffee, it may not have started with your first paycheck. It may have started at that dinner table. Not because your parents did something wrong, but because they were surviving, and you were close enough to absorb the cost of that survival into your own body. And somewhere along the way, you made a silent promise you don't even remember making. I will never be caught off guard. I will always be ready. I will count and recount until the numbers keep me safe. That promise made sense when you were small, but you're not small anymore, and the promise is still running. So here you are, checking the balance one more time, doing the math one more time, feeling the tightness one more time. And now you know something you didn't know before. The smoke detector in your chest, the one that beeps at every purchase, every bill, every quiet Sunday, was not installed by your bank account. It was installed by every moment your nervous system learned that money equals danger. And the beeping isn't a sign that something is wrong with you. It's a sign that something once was wrong around you, and your body never got the memo that the fire is out. So what do you do with all of this? You don't need to learn how to stop worrying about money. You need to learn that the worry was never really about money in the first place. It was your body doing the only thing it knew how to do, keeping you safe in a world that once felt like it could fall apart at any moment. And the fact that you're still here, still checking, still calculating, still holding everything together with a vigilance that exhausts you, that's not weakness. That's the echo of someone who learned to survive before they learned to live. Remember that person sitting in their car after the raise, doing math instead of breathing? They weren't ungrateful. They were running a program that was never theirs to begin with. One that says, no amount will ever be the amount that makes the tightness stop. But maybe now, the next time good news arrives and your chest locks up instead of opening, you won't ask what's wrong with me. You'll ask, whose emergency am I still carrying? And that question is worth more than any raise. If you made it this far, I just want you to know, I didn't make this video for everyone. I made it for the person who Googled, "Why do I feel guilty buying lunch?" at 1 in the afternoon and couldn't explain why the answer mattered so much. If that's you, you're in the right place. Hit subscribe so we can keep going together. And leave me a comment. Does your money anxiety come from something that already happened or something you're afraid will happen? Either way, I'll be reading. See you in the next one.